Hey guys, Jason here with a word to the wise. I just want to touch on this before I show this video. This was something I put out, I think back in October, before the possible abomination of desolation was going to be fulfilled in its time. And looking at the world stage now, of course, we're looking at it through, a digital lens, and we can only take in so much and believe pretty much none of it. So there's only one truth, and that is Jesus. So looking at Russia and how they're being done in this, the media, these conferences between Putin and Biden, which haven't been made public, I'm sure they're just sitting back and smoking cigars and laughing it up. And then on the other side, they're like, oh, they better not, you better not, you better not. Well, I think they all eat at the same table, I believe. So just that being that. Then, of course, if there's some sort of a cyber attack, then all of a sudden they can say, oh, Russia, Russia, Russia. And yet, who's in control of all these networks? Who just wanted to put out the 5 Sneezy, which is supposed to be using AI, which is supposed to be advanced, and then which is supposed to on and on and on. So you can see how the story can carry out anywhere, but at the same time, who's in charge of these things? I mean, we haven't seen much of the Billy G for a while either, right? So just want to put that out there because they're looking for someone to come after all these things fall apart. Now we're seeing all this trucker stuff that's happening in Canada, which is also part of what they want. Then they can say, well, look, the truckers are on strike because of unfair balances, la da 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 da, and the story continues on. So there's a lot more I could put into this, but I just want to get this information out, and I just want to put that little bit of a heads up at the beginning of this. So just a word to the wise. God bless. So looking at Daniel 11, what I'm saying that kept ringing in my head is the God of fortress is what every other Bible uses. So then I looked it up in the Hebrew to see, does it actually say God of fortress? And I'll read it just real quick so you can kind of see where I'm at. But it's Daniel 11, verses 37. And he shall show no regard for the God of his fathers, nor for the one desired by women, nor for any other God, because he will magnify himself above them all. And in his place he will honor a God of fortress, like a fort, a God his fathers did not know, with gold, silver, precious stones, and riches. Okay, now if my laptop wants to die, that's fine. So, if you look at the Second Temple, I think it was like 150 BC, they made a giant statue of Zeus in it, and I think it's one of the 8 wonders of the world. If you look up the 8 wonders of the world, I think Zeus's statue was one of them, and it's only, stories of it, but you can read up on that and what they did in those days, and that's what they would do, is they would bring gold, silver, precious stones, and riches, and I'm sure food and wine and every other thing, that you could possibly bring. But that was why the Second Temple was also destroyed, because they set up an abomination. But the thing is, when I was looking up that fortress word and then taking the Hebrew, and I was thinking, I can cut and paste that word and I'll put it in the Google Translator and see what it comes up, see if it actually comes up the same as it did then. And when you put that into the Hebrew to get translated to English, it literally takes the Hebrew letters and words and just puts it right into the English bar. It's like, well, that doesn't help. So then I thought, okay, well, maybe then I could go to find a different site that'll do the same translating. So I found like 1 or 2, and the same thing kept happening. Every time I put it in Hebrew to get translated, it would give me question marks or nothing at all. And so it's like, okay, well, this is not gonna work. So, and there goes the laptop. So 2 Thessalonians 2 can wait till another time. So I'm taking it for what it is. Fortress. So when I kept going back to Bible Hub to actually keep looking the Strong's, looking the Englishman's Concordance. There's a couple of different ones. There's one that was called the NAS, but it talks about when you look at that root word of fort, it's uz, U-Z. And then I think when you're looking at fortress in Daniel 11, it was Ma'uzim. So I don't know if that's a plural version or if it's because the words they used before, like a god of fortress. So that it could be the way that the sentence structure is. I think Hebrew works in that way too. But I wrote it down here. Fortress, root word uz, and it's a place or means of safety and protection. And I'll show you the other versions I got on my screenshot too. So then it got me thinking of that verse in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction comes upon them. So it's like, okay. So I wonder if that's what it is. It's a God of somebody that's going to somehow promise or promote safety and security, protection. And like they keep talking about China rising up into the fourth industrial revolution. And will that actually be a takeover or a revolution from them where they want to take over the world? Will it be something to do with computers? Will it be something to do in the Middle East countries? Because when you look at the Euphrates and it talks about the kings of the rising sun, well, if the Euphrates dries up, it runs through Turkey, Syria, and Iraq, which would make a way for them to just cross the river, which used to be a mile wide in some places, is now just dwindling down to a stream in some areas. So just something to keep in mind. It's a better understanding when you see what fortress doesn't mean a god of a fort, or a god of a building, but a place of peace and security is what it possibly might be saying. And then when you're looking at that in Revelation 16, when it's talking about those kings that go forth to, which go forth unto the kings of the earth and the whole world to gather them together for the battle of that great day. So it brings the world together, and what are they wanting to do? They want to bring peace and safety to the world, possibly by going against something. Or, maybe they're trying to battle against somebody that God has brought to bring some sort of a judgment on the world. Maybe it is. I got a minute, so I just want to touch on a little bit more. Man, it's freezing right now. It's 3 degrees out. Looking at where we're going with all this, shortages, a lot of talk. I was just watching something on Israeli News Live, and you can only take that kind of information about doctors and the ivermectin or whatever that stuff is, and the antimicrobial antibody, whatever, all that stuff. It gets demand for that now. That's going to cause an uproar in the people saying, we want this, we want this, we want this. Give us more shots. Whatever we can get through a needle that's not labeled from Pfizer or somebody else, that's what I want. Could be the same exact thing. Yes, there's all these negative things that have happened with the dose, but in the same, now it makes people aware that they don't want it. So now you have all these people that are against it. So now if you have some sort of a problem that develops down the road from something new, then they say, well, look, we have this, which is different. And, who's making it? The government or colleges. And now it looks so much more safe and trustworthy. People might say, well, I'll take that, but I'm not taking it from these pharmaceutical companies. These, blah, 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 these elite giants. I'll trust this other thing much more. So here they're propping up, just like Biden, they're propping up something bad over the last 2 years, and it's being displayed by Fauci and all these other people. I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it. I've said it a million times. Okay, And then when those guys get thrown aside, and then they bring out something new, better, la-di-da, look at this. And then people say, oh, okay, well, that's much better. It's not the same as that. Now they've tricked you into choosing something even worse than the first. So just a word to the wise, guys. This is just kind of in the beginning stages of this last stage, I believe. So I just want to put that on this also.